proceed with what has been making headlines. But first, today's highlights.
We are looking at efficiency in the Office of the Controller of Budgets. We'll continuously call out that office.
Governors from the Lake region accuse the national government of sabotaging devolution. NCCK convenes a male engagement forum in Embu County, urging men to take an active role in combating gender-based violence. And 15 people confirmed dead and more than 100 still missing after a devastating landslide in eastern Uganda. Right, welcome to the broadcast. Governors from the Lake Region Economic Bloc have voiced their frustration over delays in the disbursement of devolved funds by the National Treasury, warning that the situation is stifling operations and undermining devolution. Chairman of the bloc, Kisumu Governor Anyang' Nyong'o, emphasized the need to address critical issues like food security and climate change, noting that the region must adapt effective strategies to ensure food sufficiency and mitigate the impacts of shifting environmental patterns. Governor James Orengo and Kakamega Governor Fernandez Barasa echoed these sentiments, stating that unless the national government promptly releases the allocated funds, county operations and essential services may be paralyzed.
We cannot resolve and determine the rightful share of counties on revenues collected at the national level. We may go back to the failed regional system that we had at the beginning of independence. Even in the area of blue economy, we are put in a situation where we cannot deliver in terms of a constitutional mandate. And I think this is something that as the Lake Region Economic Bloc and the Council of Governors, we must continue to have that debate.
As the Chair of Finance, we are looking at efficiency in the Office of the Controller of Budgets. We'll continuously call out that office so that we eliminate the bureaucracies and inefficient that office to facilitate a release of funds. I know most of the counties haven't received their September equitable share and October, despite the fact that the money is CRF. We don't want at the end of the financial year to be called out for not spending the money, and yet the Office of the Control of Budget is the one that has problems.
Away from that, persons with disabilities continue to face significant marginalization within Kenya's justice system. However, women with hearing impairment are at the forefront of this battle in Kisumu County. KTN's Levis Musumba was there and filed this story.
Lydia Achieng was born with hearing impairment. Despite this, the cruel hand of gender-based violence never spared her.
So in the middle of the night, someone sneaked into the house and tried to rape me. When my brother called my aunt said that, Lydia, you are lying. You always like talking to men around. That is not a serious issue.
In Kisumu County, the deaf community's exposure to gender-based violence creates what experts call double exclusion. This means that survivors face stigma, trauma, and communication barriers in accessing justice.
And because they're not able to communicate, deaf members are saying, we can't even explain the violation that has taken place. And from that end only, it means that we have already, one would say, tarnished the documents that are necessary for the deaf person to be able to get their justice.
To address these barriers, the Chanuka Deaf Women Group, supported by civil society's organization network through the Embassy of Netherlands and UNDP Amkenwa Kenya project, has trained over 300 deaf women to be paralegals. Lydia Achieng is one of them.
We sensitize our deaf friends so that they know a referral pathway. If a violation happens, where do they report to so that they can get justice?
In 2024, Kisumu locals recorded 22 gender-based violence cases. 20 of them involved defilement.
And I think what this project is trying to do is use Chanuka as a case study to be able to talk about what gaps exist amongst persons with disability who are unable to access justice, and how the other counties like Homa Bay and Vihiga and Kakamega can learn from what is happening with this organization and put in place strategies and mechanisms that can address that. And one of the things that the project is planning to do is to have a learning platform where these conversations that we're getting at community level is shared with the duty bearers, with a view to ensuring that A, they budget for them. First of all, they recognize that there's a gap. Second, they have to budget for them. And then they have got to be deliberate and intentional to go out and see how they can identify these groups and see how they can be funded without necessarily waiting for a development partner to do that.
The lack of sign language interpreters and specialized personnel in the justice system remain a major obstacle.
Because at the end of the day, the deaf person is the consumer of the language. So can a deaf person be there in the interviewing committee? So then they can help identify an interpreter who can support them when they have cases at the courts.
Lydia's courage, together with other survivors of gender-based violence, inspire a call to action for all stakeholders to address violence. It also pushes for the championing of inclusivity, addressing issues around stigma while leaving no one behind. For KTN News, I'm Levis Msumba.
Thank you, Levis. And still on matters GBV, as the world marks 16 days of activism against gender-based violence, the National Council of Churches of Kenya has launched a male engagement forum in Embu County to spotlight cases of GBV against men. The three-day forum, which began yesterday, seeks to address the often overlooked plight of male victims who stakeholders argue receive less attention compared to female victims. Participants criticize societal tendencies to condemn male GBV perpetrators publicly while failing to hold female perpetrators accountable. NCCK Embu County Chair Bishop Stephen Jogu noted that men frequently endure abuse in silence.
Tuseme ni mama ndiye anadhulumiwa pale nyumbani. Kama mama ndiye anadhulumiwa pale nyumbani, unakuta mara nyingi mambo ya kufua, mambo ya kupika, mambo ya mashamba pale nyumbani iko kwa wamama wakati mwingi. So wakati kunapatikana ile violence, mama huyu akitoka nyumbani inamaanisha ile boma ni kama imebomoka. Kupewa watoto chakula, maybe means za kupata chakula zinaenda chini. Kama ni man, mwanzo ina affect kwa sababu if a man ndiye anachapwa, ndiye anapigwa, hata kupanga mipango ya kinyumbani pia inakuwa ngumu, na unakuta wakati mwanaume anapitia hii violence hata yeye mwenyewe anajidharau.
Because Embu is on the rise ya kwamba these things are being done, wanaume they are being battered, wanawake wanapigwa, rape cases ziko. We are telling people these 16 days that we are having, because this is our third day today, we need to get involved in whatever we are doing.
Ndiyo community we haina GBV, kikao kimesema ni vyema watu wae na kikao pamoja, wakae katika vijiji pale ili waweze kuzuia, waangalie zile mambo zinazosababisha watu kupigana katika jamii, kutoka kijiji na kutoka kwenye nyumba haswa, ili watu waweze wawe na maongeo baina yao, waweze kuulizana maswali, kwa nini GBV inatokea hapa, na ndio at least tupunguze kesi za GBV.
Now, 4 years have passed since the brutal murder of 15-year-old Valeria Njeri, but for her family, the pain and the search for justice remain as raw as ever. In November 2019, Valeria's life was tragically cut short when she was stabbed multiple times outside her family home in Mirera Estate near Naivasha. The attack followed allegations that she had rejected the sexual advances of a 16-year-old boy who was later arrested and charged. Here is Sophia Ali with that story.
As the country observes the 16 days of activism against gender-based violence, Valeria's family is pleading for justice despite all witnesses having testified. The defense presenting its case, the High Court in Naivasha has adjourned the judgment time and time again, leaving the family in limbo. Valeria's father, John Dunu, speaks of the emotional, financial and spiritual toll this prolonged wait has taken on their lives. He says he is drained having to travel every month to court with no resolutions in sight.
Ila wakati unapoenda ku approach wa boss, unaomba ruhusa kusudi uende kuhudhuria kesi karibu kila mwezi. Na unajua like now ninatumia leave balance yangu ya 2025 and you are still in 2024. Already tayari 2024 imeisha na inakuwa hivyo kwa sababu I need justice. My family needs the justice. Mtoto amelala for 4 good years. Watuambie ukweli. Watuambie ukweli kwamba kama ni kufungua kijana umfungue.
His wife, Mary Goreta, tearfully expresses the anguish of seeing the accused, now in university, continue with his studies while they are left to mourn their daughter without closure. Mary Goreta expresses her frustrations and that of her family, waiting, hoping, and praying for an end to their painful wait.
Tumevumilia, tumefika saa mahali tukaona matumaini imefika justice ifanyike. Lakini for now, your judgment imeahirishwa for 3 times. For now hata hatujui tarehe. Mimi ninaomba tu haki ya huyo mtoto tutendewe.
The family, the neighbors, and the community still carry the memory of a bright, innocent girl taken too soon, hoping that justice, though delayed, will not be denied. Sophia Ali, reporting for KTN.
Right, hopeful that justice will surely be served. Right here on KTN News Desk, we now take a short breather, but please stay with us for more on the other side. Welcome back, and now let's talk matters education. And the stakeholders in the education sector have been encouraged to promote mental health education in institutes of higher learning. Specialists have emphasized that a strong focus on mental well-being can cultivate a positive learning culture that drives academic success and personal growth. The stakeholders were speaking at the Excel Global College during the Career Day. The Career Day is aimed at elevating education through the power of information and communication technology in the country, with focus of inspiring learners to embrace ICT as the cornerstone of future job markets.
We offer a business game to help them interact with Udu as a software and basically learn how they'll be able to do their day-to-day jobs at the end of the day when they join a company that has an ERP that they need to learn.
You all need IT. IT is like a second language now, right? Because after COVID and everything, nothing is going without IT, right? So if you know your skills to the highest level or in any career, but you don't know this soft skills, communication skills, IT skills, then you know you can easily be thrown out of the market.
We look at ensuring that their graduates are qualified professionals and their skills are actually what is required in the job market, so that we kill this narrative of half-baked graduates. So if you want to ensure that you have skills that are required in the market, so that you are not part of that population that is out here moving from one office to another or sending job applications, you become a job creator.
And I'm very happy today even to tell that Excel Global College is being collaborated with the Art of Living, and they're signing an MOU for the next 2 years to impart these tools and techniques to their students and their management.
Elsewhere, students have been urged to engage in co-curricular activities to nurture and develop their talents. As part of this effort, a play titled Taming the Shrew was staged to promote arts and identify talent in acting. The annual play serves as a platform for students to showcase their skills and grow their artistic potential.
I still read me on the head. And through the instrument, my head.
Kiss me, Katrina.
Why we do this is because school productions as a whole help the students to develop their talent, their enjoyment for theater and performance, which they can build up into their careers, and also a sense of communality. At Brook House, we've seen several departments, nearly all departments, pitching to make the play work. And we think that's a very worthwhile reason we should be involved in a school play.
I play Katrina in the show Taming of the Shrew. This role was very important to me because her character portrays a very strong woman who doesn't allow men to take control of her, and is very hard-headed and very strong and dominant in her way of life. Industry needs to learn that women are very powerful.
All my life I've always been in some sort of performance, music. I think one of the benefits of acting is, one, as I said, it pushes you outside your comfort zone. It places you in a situation where you are comfortably uncomfortable.
Encouraging them will actually boost their confidence to do what they like, to tap into their talents and showcase like who they are as a person. And to the kids, don't be scared, just embrace who you are.
Right, let's cross borders now, and the search for more bodies is still underway in Bulambuli following a landslide that buried several homes on Wednesday evening, leaving scores dead. 15 bodies have been retrieved and dozens unaccounted for in the landslide that ravaged 8 villages in Bulugaya sub-county and Soti sub-counties in the Elgon sub-region. The landslide was triggered by heavy rains in the mountainous district of Bulambuli, where landslides are common.
A somber mood has settled over Bulugunya and Soti sub-counties in Bulambuli district, where desperate efforts are underway to retrieve the bodies of those buried by a devastating landslide. Triggered by torrential rains on Wednesday night, the disaster has left the community reeling in shock and grief. Here, scores of people are still feared trapped under the rubble.
I've managed to get 14 bodies. Around 110 people are likely to be buried down there. 8 villages are affected. 4 of the 8 are severely affected. Total destruction. There is nothing that you can recover.
By press time, only 14 bodies had been recovered, leaving many families anxiously waiting for news of their loved one.
But our people are badly off. They need help urgently.
Grieving families now left homeless are pinning their hopes on a community-led rescue team armed with little more than handholds to recover the bodies of their loved ones. However, their painstaking efforts are being hindered by persistent rainfall, which is slowing down the rescue operation and adding to the distress of those already suffering. Most of these youth who were still in the trading center returned to ravaged landscape with their relatives still missing. In an effort to offer comfort and support, the Bulambuli Resident District Commissioner assured the community that the government would provide assistance to expedite the search and rescue efforts for the missing individuals.
Well, we have a team of 120 UPDF that are coming to start the exercise of excavating, adding to the local people. We have failed to reach machines here.
The devastating landslide has struck a community already reeling from disappointment and mistrust stemming from unfulfilled government promises to resettle them to safer areas. This latest tragedy has only deepened the sense of disillusionment and frustration among the affected residents.
As local leaders, we were tasked to mobilize, organize these people to ensure that they go down in the resettlement camp. We have played our role as local leaders, but everything has ended in vain.
We've done our part in appealing to government, in bringing to the attention of government, in following up.
People are not forthcoming to the warnings that we are giving them, then we will have to force them. And this is not in any way to infringe on their rights. But we first look at the fundamentals. What is key, what is pertinent, is safety.
One of the areas hardest hit by the latest landslide is a community that is still reeling from a similar tragedy just last year, in which a landslide claimed the lives of 5 members of the same family in 2023.
Right, and here in Kenya, we condole with the affected families in our neighboring Uganda. Now, garbage collectors in Kiambu County have raised an alarm over the worsening situation at the Kangoki dam site in Thika, citing a lack of adequate space and resource to manage waste effectively. According to the chairperson of the Garbage Collectors Association, Wawero Kirangi, heaps of waste have accumulated, blocking the designated dumping area due to non-tractors caused by a fuel shortage. The situation, which has persisted for over a week, has forced collectors to dispose of waste in unauthorized areas. Kirangi appealed to the County Department of Environment to urgently provide fuel for the tractors.
Material haitumiki, tingatinga inakuja inasukuma. Ikisukuma tunapata space ya kumwaga takataka kesho. Kenye haiwezekani sahi. Kitu yenye sasa si possible juu sasa kama kutoka mvua inyeshe kumekuwa na shortages, tiga iko ina mafuta, subuhi tunaambiwa hakuna mafuta, sijui mafuta itakuja next week. Sasa hiyo wakati mafuta ikikosa tunapata magari azimwagi, takataka inakuja tu ina remain kwa truck. Sasa ikiremain kwa truck sisi nasi hatupati kazi.
Sasa hizi kuna gari imelala hapa kutoka Tuesday, umeiona pale, hiyo gari itatoka lini? Sasa hapa tukimwaga by jioni hapa kutakuwa kumejaa. Kukijaa tutafanya nini? Na takataka inaenda kujeneretiwa. Utakuwa ukisema unahudumia mambo ya afya, lakini usipohudumia hapa, takataka itamwagwa town, itafuka drainage, korona itatokea na magonjwa itaendelea kuadhuru watu.
Amka asubuhi unakuja huku hakuna kitu mapato unapata juu kiingia magari hazigi juu huku kumejaa. Mashimo huku imejaa, machupa imejaa. Ukifikiria utapelekea watoto wako kitu ya kukula ama riziki, unapata hakuna. Unaenda nyumbani hivyo. Sisi tunataka kuambia gavana wa Matangi akuje huku atuongereshe ama tusaidie. Juu akikosa kukuja huku tutatokezea kwa barabara.
All right, and that story from Athika, Kiambu, wraps up KTN News Desk this Friday. Thank you for always sparing your time for us. My name is Grace Nganga. Up next is Inside Sports with my colleague Robinson Okenye. Don't go too far.